All right. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming and attending our presentation on a trip to Guatemala. We have two of our fantastic hosts here. We have Michelle and Maria, who are going to help give us a wonderful presentation on the ins and outs of Guatemala and Traverse Journey's trip to Guatemala, the retreat. So just gonna, there we go. So Michelle is our retreat leader. And then Maria is from the lodging that we provide. And before we go ahead and get started, I just wanted to give you a little bit of a background behind Traverse Journey, who they are, what it is that they like to provide. So the ethos is people, planet, purpose. And what we mean by that is Traverse Journeys is always planning with the people in mind, really wanting to provide a experience for you where you're able to engage with the locals and the local communities, understanding their culture and having a deeper sense and understanding of what it's like to be there in wherever location you decide to travel to. Of course, we always want to pay homage to our planet, our Mother Earth, and we want to make sure that that Traverse Journeys is doing everything that they can to provide a sustainable experience for you. That also means providing with really important partners who give opportunities to the sustainable practices, like having reusable water filters and water bottles. We partner with, oh no, I'm suddenly spacing on the name. But we do partner with a really great company that helps provide those things, among so many other partnerships that we work with. And then the purpose of just making travel experiences transformational. It's about being there, understanding the local communities and the culture, and really making it a special and transformative experience for you, rather than just a box that we check off our list of places we want to be. So that is Traverse Journeys. And then we are now going to start to move into our Guatemala snapshot. I will hand it over to either you, Michelle, or Maria, who would ever like to take this part of the presentation. Michelle, I think you are muted.
Maria has lived in Guatemala a lot longer than I have, so maybe she could take it.
Sounds good.
Okay, let's do this. So you want me to go through what this is? So yeah, I have lived in Guatemala 37 years now, in Lake Atitlan 23. And yeah, Guatemala has an amazing variety and it's a multicultural country. So Spanish is the official language, but also are recognized as languages, the 22 that belong to the Mayan communities, plus the Xinca and the Garifuna that are on the Atlantic coast. That brings us to the variety that you will be able to discover during this amazing trip, where you will get in contact with this indigenous population that have a lot to bring us. And I always believe this is a two-way. This is not just you learning about other cultures, but also they experiencing contact with other people from other countries. Yeah, I don't know if you want me to say something else, or that's it.
No, that was fantastic. Thank you so much. And thank you for also mentioning how it is a two-way. I think that's really important for people to know. Do you have anything to add to how do you pronounce that?
Sununa. Sununa means sunun is the hummingbird, and the
Oh.
original name of sununa was sunun ya. In ya means water, so it means the hummingbird of the water. That's what sununa means. And that is the full description is in a very famous book that is called Anales de los Kakchiqueles, that relates the story of the Kakchiquel. So in Lake Atitlan, one half of the lake speaks Mayan language called Kakchiquel, and the other half speak Sutuhil, and in the northern parts, Quiche. So in the department, there are 3 languages spoken. And this book relates a lot of the fights between Kakchiqueles and Sutuhiles, and it's a very interesting book to read.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much for that. I had no idea, and I had been wanting to know how to pronounce that. So thank you so much. All right, so now we can go ahead and move on to the geography and the climate of Guatemala.
Shall I keep going, Michelle, or you want to take over? You tell me. I'm fine.
Okay, sure. I mean, I have lived in Guatemala for 14 years, so it's been a while, and I can't tell you how much I love the climate, especially at Lake Atitlan. It's quite lovely year-round. It's always temperate, never too hot or too cold, and there's just a rainy season and then a dry season. These are our 2 main seasons of the year. And so I actually really love and it's a lower season. And then the dry season is from about November through April. And it's the high season for tourism as well.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Just want to, all right. Who would like to take on the history of Guatemala?
I bow to Maria. She's the lawyer and has a lot of experience with I think more of the history than she could probably speak better to it.
Okay, so yeah, this is it could be a very long conversation of to talk about the history of Guatemala, mainly because right now there's a lot of interesting story going on and a lot of questions about which is the real date of independence in Guatemala, if it is 1821 or 2 other possible dates. But yeah, it used to be a Spanish colony, you say, or Spanish territory, whatever. And it reached the independence around the 1800 something, and the discussion of the exact date is very questionable. And now we are going through a lot of political challenges, which I think are going great because people are on the streets, people are defending the rights, defending what happened in the last election, and hopefully 14th of January, we will have Dr. Bernardo Arévalo assuming the presidency of this country. But yeah, it has had a lot of history of, what we call democracia tutelada, which means a democracy that has always been serving interests. And one very important thing to say is that in Guatemala, 98% of the richness of this country are in the hands of 2% of the population, which is an interesting data to have and bear in mind. So there's a lot of poverty. There's still struggles with recognizing that 48% of the population of Guatemala is Mayan or Xinca or Garifuna. And there's a lot of struggles going on, but I think there's a light at the end of the darkness, let's say, of this country, and moving towards a stronger democracy. I would say that for now.
Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you so much, Maria, for talking about all of those things. And, you know, also on the Traverse Journeys blog, we did just put up a pretty comprehensive list of books to read before visiting Guatemala. And there are a lot of really good books on that list that also touch on the politics and the history of Guatemala. So I would definitely hop on over there and take a look at that list too, when you have a moment. So next up, we have, if my computer will work, there we go, our Guatemalan values. If either one of you have anything to say on this particular subject, please feel free to contribute. And Maria, I honestly think you actually did touch on this earlier, talking about a collectivist culture, you know, we rather than me sort of mentality.
Mm-hmm. I think it's important to understand also when you are traveling and try to make an alternative tourism, as we have always promoted in Lomas de Sununa, like leave your cameras in your rooms and try to connect with the community in another way. This is not a circus. These are not monkeys. These are human beings. So please respect. If you want to take a picture, ask permission as you would do in any other part of the country. Yeah. And that also connects you to a more, let's exchange, let's try to understand, let's keep it a two-way. Like you say, we instead of me. I'm not coming here as, you know, like I'm coming here to save you. No, I'm coming here to understand who you are, what's your culture, what is your background, why are you wearing these beautiful dresses that have a lot of symbolism besides the beauty. And I think that is the aim, and that's what I like about your organization and working also with Michelle, that understands this country and the culture and try to make it this more connecting with people instead of I am the one that comes here to save you, take pictures, and you know, that's type of mentality.
An equal exchange of engagement and experience between two people, two cultures. Yeah. So well said.
I would only add that it's a very slow pace. This culture at all of Latin America and Guatemala is a much slower, perhaps more mindful pace of life than you may be used to in the US or other westernized countries. And the Mayan people specifically tend to be very heart-centered. They're very like caring and genuine. They want to talk to you about your family and the weather, but not just small talk. It's really like, it's important not to just, you know, be in a rush. And it's like you can really connect with them when you slow down.
Yeah, agree.
That's awesome. Those are all really important things to know ahead of time when you're traveling there too. Nice. Okay. Now we have some of the Guatemalan culture and tradition. And again, if any one of you wanted to hop in and share, please go for it.
I can, yes, it's very important. I think what Michelle just pointed out links very well with the Mayan roots and Mayan ceremonies. Sometimes people find that they are too long. I don't agree. Because that helps you to slow down, to understand what is happening, to understand the relationship to nature, and also they are very inclusive. Like a Mayan ceremony, they will give you a flower and say, throw it to the fire, thinking of this or that. So that helps you also to understand what Michelle was saying about the slowing down. Yes, I sort of have a in and out with the Catholic traditions, because Guatemala is a country where evangelic or Christian churches are in race. And yes, they maintain the Semana Santa, but this is exclusive of the rest of the population. So I wouldn't put it as a, I mean, there are many religions going on in the country, and yeah. Spanish influence in food, colonial, dance, yes. There is a Spanish influence, but when you come to Lake Atitlan, you can see also, and there are books on that also written, about the Mayan food that is the rescue of food that is done and kept as a tradition of Mayan communities. And we include that in Lomas de Sununa so that people can try things that are not Spanish influence, that are Mayan influence, like food that is typical from this side of the lake. I don't know if Michelle wants to add something to what I said, but yeah.
Michelle, before you add something, I'm actually just quite curious if there is any particular dish or food that you feel is a really good example of those Mayan roots that you were talking about.
Yeah, there is many. There is the tamalitos, there is the pepian, jocom. You will be trying pico de gallo, that is another thing, guacamole. I mean, all of these are not Spanish brought. Yeah. They are all, and yeah, and there's an organization here in the lake with whom we work. I would like to explain you a bit more about how our business is a social business that supports education, art, and culture in Sununa. And one of our partners is SECAP in Santa Cruz, and they have written a very good book on, I don't know if it's called Mayan cuisine or food from the lake. I don't remember now the name, Ooh. But it's a very good one to have it. Mm-hmm.
Good to know. I want to look that up now.
Yeah, I'll send you a picture. I have it somewhere in Lomas, so people check.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, Michelle, is there anything that you would like to add to that?
Just that the food is so healthy and so local and fresh. I really appreciate that about eating at the lake, because the markets, there's so many wonderful fruits and veggies, and there's a lot of consciousness at places like Lomas de Sununa around healthy, delicious, but also very nutritious meals that they create. And the breakfast I really love. The Guatemalan breakfast of eggs, plantains, beans, and tortillas is one of my favorites.
Okay, that sounds amazing. And I haven't had breakfast yet, and now that's exactly what I want. Ooh, wonderful. Love that. Okay, let's go ahead, move on to the next slide. So why retreat in Guatemala? And a lot of these things we have already touched on, like that nourishing food and the indigenous wisdom. I am just quite curious. Okay, great. That's what I thought. So this is going to link right into our next slide, which talks more about the traverse experience. I have a feeling we might have lost Maria briefly, and that's okay. Michelle, could you help with this section?
Sure.
Oh, actually, I can. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I apologize for that. But yeah, so the traverse experience, just going along with that people, planet, and purpose. We offer on the trip a boutique, eco-friendly, locally run accommodations. We also include the all-in-country transportation, a retreat leader, and a local host, and an immersive cultural experience, which is done in a very mindful and respectful way. This is why we have wonderful people with us like Maria and Michelle to help along the way. Again, talking about the local and organic food. Now you've made me hungry and I want to have all of it. Giving back to the local community. So we do have partnerships that community partnerships that we work with alongside for all of our destinations. And that it's also a really special small group experience, typically around 10, 16 people max, but I would say the average is usually around 10 to 12 people. So it allows for a much more intimate experience overall. Okay, so let's take a trip to Guatemala. Maria, would you like to talk to us about the accommodations?
Sure. Let's start by, yes, I was trying to overread what was written there, but perhaps I'll explain it with my words. So yes, we are an eco-friendly, which means we never in 17 years have given straws, because that's a production of plastic. We don't use plastic bottles, or we buy bottled water, but that means we buy it and we give it back, so there's no trash in between. We try to ask people to not bring plastic trash that is not recyclable, and it's a damage to the ecosystem of the lake as such, what we call La Cuenca of Lake Atitlan. I don't know how you say La Cuenca in English, but it means all the lake, and how we protect and do that. One very important thing is that, we have built the hotel using a lot of local things like stones, like wood. We bought all the wood for the construction from a place in the lake that has a policy of cut a tree, plant a tree. So always sustaining that. And one very important thing that links us to what I said a moment ago is that we are a social business, meaning we always say that Lomas de Sununa is our best excuse to do social work. That is what we love to do, which means that we helped creating a community center to promote culture, art, and education. And from there, we always suggest people, if they want to donate, or better, to do an activity at the community center while you are here, which is a way of giving back to the community, but also engaging in meeting children or women, or however you feel the call, or giving a yoga class, or however it's open. So I would say there we have access to the lake and the pool, and we are isolated from noises of towns, which means that you can focus on what you're doing, and you won't have a lot of noise around, contact with nature, hearing the birds, you can hear them in the background. I would say that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Maria. Michelle, do you have anything to add in regards to the yoga?
I just would like to let everybody know who's interested in joining that I really teach to all levels. I've been teaching yoga for about 21 years. And so it's a passion, and I've always just felt very grateful to do it and enjoying it. And I teach beginners and intermediate and advanced people. So I always try to give different options and modifications and make the practice accessible to all bodies and all experience. And it's not only about the physical postures, but also the meditation, the breathing, and integrating these things into our lives.
Fantastic. Thank you. That's definitely one of the most really common questions that we get. There are people who might have an interest in yoga, but they have never done it before, and they feel like, well, should I be doing a retreat on it? And people always want to make sure, or maybe they have a lot of experience. So it's really good to know that you cater to all levels, make it very inclusive. Okay, well, that was it. All right, some of the adventure activities that are offered on the trip. I don't know if either one of you want to touch on this, or not. If you don't have anything, that's also okay. But it looks like there's a lot of really fun adventure activities that people get to hop on. That pool looked amazing.
I can start if you want. So I would divide the adventures into the things you can do nearby, like go down to the lake to swim. One thing that stands, and many retreats love to do that, is the stand-up paddle boarding. They organize trips to see the sunrise, and they even offer you a cup of coffee during that. And Marshall, that does this, is an amazing guy. Then people can climb volcanoes, do hikes, and of course these matches, contacting with the community. So you can do cultural activities or more adventurous. In last retreat, I had one day when I had a group going horseback riding, another one going paragliding, another one going zip lining. Wow. I was happy when everybody was back safe and sound. So we help also support, organize that however you want us to support, we can help organizing these, putting sign-up sheets up so that people can sign up to what they feel the call to do. So there is endless possibilities.
Oh my God, that sounds like so much fun. The rock climbing, that would be my thing.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people who like to go out and do those crazy things.
Yeah, rock climbing is also popular. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. As a rock climber, I actually hear a lot about Guatemala and the climbing there. And I've heard nothing but just really amazing experiences. So that's exciting. Oh, okay. Yep, we got some of that. So now let's go ahead and hop into some of that cultural immersion that people would possibly be experiencing on the trip. I think we lost Michelle. The poor thing has been dealing with some connection issues throughout the whole presentation. So I think it's just you and I at the moment, Maria.
Okay. So I think I already explained about the Mayan fire ceremony. Cacao workshop is amazing also because cacao has been in the culture of Guatemala. It used to be a very in the ancient times, cacao was valued as an exchange item. You would exchange cacao for goods. I'm talking about the history.
Yeah.
And yes, and this is more about the cultural adventures versus the adventurous ones that we talked before, but it also has to do with how to understand this culture that might be very different from where you come from, but that's what you travel for, no? So
Yeah.
to discover all of these, the open markets, visits to villages, and yeah. So
Thank you.
I would
I
say
think
that.
we might have Michelle popping back in again eventually. So then we also kind of want to talk about the wellness and healing aspect of this trip. Michelle did talk a little bit about the yoga that is provided. And Maria, there is sound healing.
Yeah, I am, besides running the retreat center, I am trained in sound healing. I am a tutor. I have more than 40 online students that I tutor in sound healing. And I work almost weekly with different groups, both that come and that live here. So this is more to connect with yourself. And I think it goes very well along what Michelle explained about how you will do the yoga, not just as postures, but also to understand meditation and the philosophy behind, as Michelle said. So this goes along with sound healing experience that you will connect with your own voice and discover how to work with that. And then bathe in the instruments that can work in all levels, physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, whatever your intention would be for the session. Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. Michelle, I don't know if you have anything to add to that. You did talk quite a bit about the yoga and what you offer there. But if you have anything that can add, you're more than welcome to.
Just that the week is full of yoga and other activities and sound healing and even the meals. And I like to encourage people to bring that into everything we do. So we have our formal practice every day, but then we have our informal practice throughout every day of all of our activities and interactions. And so it's a great way to really go deep and immerse ourselves in the practice.
Wonderful. What is a Temazcal Mayan sauna?
You're asking?
Well,
yeah, I'm actually not sure what that is.
Temazcal is actually, I think it's more Mexican, but it's the sweat lodge. It's like a hot room. It's you can do it in a ceremonial way. The Mayans have their own tradition similar, which is called a tuk, I believe, but it's slightly different. In the traditional Temazcal, they bring in hot rocks and that it creates a vapor, and so you sweat and purify. And it's a very powerful practice that I really love.
Oh, what was the name? You called it a tuk?
Is that right, Maria? Do you know?
Yeah, I was trying to pull something that I have written in the rooms. I will share with you that after if you want.
Yeah, that would be wonderful.
The difference between a sauna and a temazcal is you can see in the picture, in the above picture, on the left side, you have where you light the fire. And the difference between a sauna and a temazcal is that the temazcal is more humid because you're constantly throwing water to that part that is very hot. And that humidity is what helps you clean out. We usually put eucalyptus leaves in water so that the heat provokes vapes or whatever. And so it smells, and that helps you clean all your respiratory, even if you don't have anything, it's just a way of cleaning from toxicity that there is in the environment always. So I would say that is the main difference between a regular sauna and a temazcal. And there are even Mayan elders that do massages inside a temazcal. So they mix the benefits of massages and the temazcal, which is also another thing people can access.
Oh, thank you so much for explaining that, Maria. I appreciate that. And if you have anything to send, I will happily take a look and maybe even send it to the people who are viewing this. Okay. And we've gotten into the yoga, and thank you so much, Michelle, for explaining all of that. Let's talk a little bit about the permaculture and the local landscape. Oh, that's it. Sorry, did not mean to go back to that. But does anyone have anything to add to that, or to some of our viewers who don't even know what permaculture is?
You want to talk about that, Michelle? Or you want me to do it?
I could say something, maybe you could add. I want to share that Sununa specifically, the village of Sununa has an incredible amount of permaculture going on in this small Mayan village. And permaculture is just like a way of working with the land. It's a philosophy around how to take care of the land and garden, but in a very sustainable. It's all about sustainability of the resources and regeneration. And so, yeah, it's an inspiring place to be if you're interested in that kind of thing, because you can actually take a tour or meet people who are involved day to day in these kinds of activities and inspire you to do some things at home as well.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much, Maria. I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
Yes, I would like to add two things. I completely agree with how Michelle described it. I think the important difference between permaculture and any other approach to agriculture is that permaculture thinks of the whole system. So how everything, animals, plants, and people interact in a land, helping to provoke the changes. I did a course with Atitlan Organics with Shad many years back to understand a bit more of this, and I liked the ethics, the careful of the design, and also the one thing that hits always me when I think of permaculture is everything in a permaculture farm has to have many purposes. Like, why do you have chicken? Just to give you eggs? No, they give you eggs. They deal with composting, etc. So you have everything supporting many ways of doing things. And I think Shad has a lot of knowledge in what permaculture is and has worked with that many, many years, and is now doing tours in his Atitlan Organics farm and the new one, Duck Willow, that he's just building. So that would be great for people to know and understand how we can be part of the change we want to see in the world if we understand more about permaculture.
Oh, I love that. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. So our next slide is coming into the community and giving back. So true, like I had said earlier, Traverse Journeys really works on finding these community partnerships for the majority of the destinations that are traveled to. And it really is just about, giving back to the community. And for our Guatemala partner called Wellkind, which is provides leadership training and ecological and economic resources from a perspective that recognizes that local leadership, system thinking, and inherent connection to nature. I don't know if either one of you have anything to add to what Wellkind does in particular.
Reforestation is also a big thing. Maria is on the board, so she could tell you much, much more.
Yeah, I seem to be a multitasking woman.
No kidding, my goodness.
So yes, I am on the board of Wellkind, and yeah, it has many different approaches. One is the weaving, the training women in crochet, but not to sell. Here, there's a thing that you need to understand. Some people produce, let's say, I don't have one handy, but a crochet ball, okay? And then there is what they call the coyotes, the people that come, buy it for 2 quetzales, go to Pana or to other places and sell it for 100 quetzales. So one of the goals of Wellkind is to avoid that, to make the women earn more money and avoid the intermediate. We also give, Wellkind also gives scholarships to people so they can go further in their education, and we do that with the community center. So we have mixed boards. I'm on the board of Wellkind. Somebody of Wellkind is on the board of Chitsunun Choi, which is the community center. So we work all together towards this. Reforestation is one big part of this, creating opportunities of work, empowering. So yeah. And I suppose Shad will explain more when you do the tour.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, just as it was mentioned that when you are a part of this trip, you get to do a tour that also dives deep into what this organization does. So thank you, Maria and Michelle. Okay, we kind of already touched on this before, and making me very hungry. And but all of that sounds really wonderful. Is there anything that you would like to add to this? I had a feeling I was jumping the gun when I asked about food, but if you have anything to add, that is also okay. Yeah, I think we're good on this because we've already talked about it extensively. And is there anything in particular, like if people have, I know that this is a really, really common question that a lot of people ask, but they have any like specific dietary restrictions? So if they are gluten-free or vegan, vegetarian, do you have anything to speak on that? I believe that accommodations can be made. Do you feel like any of those dietary restrictions are particularly difficult to handle in Guatemala?
You asking me? As
either one of you.
I can speak from the point of view of holding space in Lomas de Sununa, which is my job. So, and then Michelle from the retreat leader part. You would need, this is something that we accommodate in the sense retreat leaders, in this case, Michelle, would decide, do you want to do a vegetarian yoga retreat, which is what most yoga retreats do, no? They focus on vegetarian, giving option to the people that are vegan or gluten-free to jump in. Gluten-free is not easy to do in Guatemala, but is feasible. So we do accommodate gluten-free diets. And I would say the 2 important things to bear in mind. It is, if you choose to be, what I don't call them dietary restrictions, because I am a vegan myself and I don't identify myself as being a restricted person to eat. It's
Yeah.
just choice, also choice of food.
Yeah.
And I would say, bear in mind two things. I have seen people declaring themselves to be gluten-free, and for the kitchen, this means a whole different scenario. So we will do lasagna for everyone, and we will do a gluten-free lasagna with zucchini or eggplant. Is a whole different scenario. And then you see the people eating bread. And we find that is a lack of respect to the kitchen that did the effort of accommodating your diet. So I would say the only suggestion that I would make is be very mindful of what you're asking and be consistent with your choices so that we can follow up, we can give you what you need, but we can give you what you need because that's how you are, or you are celiac or whatever, and not that you change according to whatever there is around.
Yeah.
Because that means a lack of respecting the efforts behind the scenes.
Absolutely. And Maria, thank you for also just pointing out that you're right. They're not always restrictions. For some people, they might feel like restrictions, but for others, they are lifestyles, they are choices and preferences. So I really appreciate you also mentioning that, but also laying out the fact that, when the kitchen has gone through an extensive effort to make sure that, they are helping with people who, might be gluten-free as an example, to also just respect those choices throughout the trip. So totally understandable. Thank you. I think we lost Michelle again. Okay, so yes, some travel trips. A great resource to go to is the blog. We do have blogs on, what to pack. Is there anything, Maria, that you have on any kind of travel trips for someone who might be coming in to the area and that could be helpful for them?
Yes, I think what you're covering here, money tipping, many places do not accept credit card or have an extra charge on that. So always having cash or availability to withdraw from ATMs is good. Safety is taken care of by you guys, Trustverse, and us and Michelle. So we take care of not putting you in any risk, and we know how to deal with that. There's no big safety issues in Lake Atitlan.
Yeah.
And with the proper precautions when you do things, you are fine. I would say also, this is a very traditional culture. Bearing that in mind, I would say dress properly. We're not at the beach, so going around in bikinis or very shorts can be aggressive for the local community. So bear that respect in mind when you go out and about on the trips. And I would say, sunblocks and things that you might need for taking care of yourself, being very careful. And I haven't seen your blog, but it would be great to be very eco-friendly when you buy products. So buy sunblocks that do not contaminate, so whatever you want to bring that are along with the permaculture that you were talking about, the eco-friendly practices, the taking care of the lake. So bring things that do not contaminate and do not provoke a damage in the country you are visiting. I would say that.
Boy, that is such an important point. Thank you, Maria. Michelle, we were just talking about any particular travel tips. Do you have anything to add there? Oh, you're muted.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay.
I don't know if you mentioned anything about wardrobe. Guatemala is a pretty conservative culture. And
Mhm.
so it's kind of like if you've ever traveled to India, it's really nice to just cover yourself up a little with a
Yeah.
shawl or a scarf. Like, it's fine to wear yoga tank tops in yoga class, but if you're just walking around the town, it's just more respectful to be covering your shoulders and not wearing like tiny shorts, like
Yeah.
just in line with the conservative values of the Mayan people.
Thank you. Yeah. I don't think
I'm
we
glad,
could stress that.
I'm glad to see that we both pointed out that. Because
Oh, didn't Maria say that? Sorry, I was disconnected.
No, but I think it was important that you say it as the
Yeah.
retreat leader. I
Yeah.
think it's very important that you are on the same line, and it makes me very happy to be on the same line. So don't worry. It's
Oh,
good
good.
that you both pointed out.
It's good to emphasize it, even if it's twice.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, getting there and back. Yes. So this just kind of lays out an understanding of, what transportation will look like, and knowing that transportation is included with your stay. Is there anything that either one of you would like to provide in terms of transportation, whether it's I don't know what I'm trying to ask. I'm trying to think it thoroughly in my mind, but
Perhaps just bear in mind that this will be your decision as transverse journey, I suppose. I don't
yes,
know.
yeah,
But for people to bear in mind, they will leave the airport in a bus, coming, I suppose, to Panajachel, from there a boat, from there a tuk-tuk to come to the venue. That's option one. Option two is bus from the airport to Sununa, from there tuk-tuks up to the venue. So just for people to know what to expect, because I think that releases any anxiety there might be. If you know what to expect, you're not anxious about that. And one more thing I want to say, I have another Zoom meeting at 10. So if you need
oh
me
my
to
goodness,
wrap up some more things,
yeah,
I'm happy to do before I leave, but I really need to hook
Mhm.
on another
Yes.
call. I thought this was going to be more or less an hour, and yeah.
Yep. Nope. We are right at the end. So
Okay.
you've done a wonderful job. And if you need to head out, that is absolutely okay. Thank you so much for just taking the time to do this. I really greatly appreciate it. And I think it is incredibly beneficial to everyone else who also is having the opportunity to watch. So thank you so much, Maria.
Now I'll stay until a minute before 10.
Okay. Okay.
It's another Zoom meeting, so I don't need to.
No problem. I mean, we are really just at the end. Just want to let everyone know that come and join us next year. We have dates from March 18th to the 23rd. And also, if you book by the end of this month, you do get a $200 off discount you can use on the back end when you book. Just make sure to use the code Guatemala Live. And even if you forgot, that's okay. You can email us after you've booked to let us know, hey, you would like that $200 discount off. And also please follow us on Instagram and Facebook. On Instagram, we are at Traverse Journeys. And on Facebook, it is at Traverse the Globe. So come and join us. You'll get to meet Maria and Michelle, who have a breadth of knowledge and experience for Guatemala. So I will say thank you now, Michelle and Maria, for joining us and for giving everyone like a really amazing, in-depth experience into Guatemala. Looking forward to seeing some of you sign up with us and enjoy this wonderful experience and trip.
Thank you.
Thank you
so much.
Bye.
All right. Thank you so much, John.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I know we went a little bit over, but good.
No problem. I'm glad
Yeah.
we got it. It happened. I got knocked off about 5 times, but I'm glad I was able to get back on. I feel like I'm in
Oh, good.
Guatemala in many ways.
I know. I learned so much today, so
I'm good.
this will be helpful for others.
Yes. Thanks for coordinating and recording and everything.
Absolutely. Thank you again. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.